Welcome to Kansas Ag Report with your host, Brian Holman.
Welcome to Kansas Ag Report. I'm Brian Holman, and here's our lineup for today's show. In Ag News, we'll take a look at local and national headlines affecting Kansas farmers. In our Ag Feature, we visit with Caleb Hellwig from BASF to discuss weed management. Inside Kansas Ag has an exclusive interview from This Week in Agribusiness with Kansas farmers on the current wheat crop. And in news you need to know, we have our weekly update from the Kansas Livestock Association. We'll look back at last week's market activity with the guys from Paragon, and we'll let you know about important events coming up around the state of Kansas. Glad you could join us.
Closed captioning brought to you by Dick Edwards in Manhattan, selling America's #1 truck, the Ford F-150, for over 30 years. DickEdwardsAuto.com.
Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers. kansassoybeans.org.
Ag Risk Solutions. Experience, knowledge, integrity. Your crop insurance solution, Ag Risk Solutions. Dick Edwards Auto Plaza in Junction City, home of this year's Motor Trend Truck of the Year, Ram Truck. DickEdwardsAuto.com.
Here's our national headlines for This Week in Ag News. The House Interior Appropriation Committee passed a bill last week that includes a permanent extension of the grazing rider and a provision to extend grazing permit terms from 10 years to 20 years. Additionally, the bill will prevent the EPA from requiring livestock operations to report their greenhouse gas emissions or to get GHG permits. Farm Credit marked its 98th anniversary this month. Approximately 40% of dollars loaned to U.S. farmers and ranchers comes from Farm Credit. Congress established Farm Credit as a reliable source of credit for the nation's farmers and ranchers back in 1916, which today is made up of 82 privately owned financial institutions and remains a sound and vital resource for rural America. A federal judge in New York ruled last week that a futures broker accused of manipulating wheat futures prices did in fact engage in fictitious sales back in 2009. The trader is accused of manipulating the wheat futures market by electronically entering fictitious orders and then immediately canceling them in an attempt to create the impression of increasing liquidity to move wheat future prices upwards and downwards at different times. A trial date has been set for November of this year. And in local news, Adrian Polanski, State Executive Director of the Kansas Farm Service Agency, announced that emergency haying and grazing of CRP acreage has been approved for 44 counties in Kansas and went into effect July 16th. Emergency haying in these approved counties is allowed through August 15th, and emergency grazing is allowed through September 30th. However, emergency haying and grazing is not allowed on the same acreage. Participants enrolled in CRP should contact their local FSA office to see if their county is approved and to make requests. The Kansas wheat harvest may be one of the worst on records, but the losses don't only affect Kansas. According to Kansas State University expert Mary Knapp, this year's wheat crop losses could affect other foods availability and the overall economy. Knapp says the farmer is not going to invest in machine upgrades or make as many purchases in the community. That will cause the economy to drag, which may result in a ripple effect that can be far-reaching. Kansas farmers who currently use organic production practices or like to pursue organic certification are encouraged to apply for cost share funds from the Kansas Department of Agriculture's Organic Cost Share Program. The program was allocated $73,000 funded by the 2014 Farm Bill to help Kansas farmers offset the costs associated with organic certification or recertification. Organic producers are eligible to be reimbursed for up to 75% of the cost of their organic certification. Apply online at ams.usda.gov or contact the Kansas Department of Ag. Up next in our Ag Feature, we visit with Caleb Hellwig of BASF to discuss weed management. You're watching Kansas Ag Report. Please stay tuned. If you'd like to advertise your business on Kansas Ag Report, give us a call at 785-554-5974.
This segment brought to you by Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. GrassandGrain.com.
A.B. Flint Motor Company, selling quality used cars and trucks in Southeast Topeka at 32nd and South Kansas Avenue. Integrity Gun and Pawn, 2 Topeka locations specializing in firearms and training. igpawn.com to learn more. Kansas Weed Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for weeds. Online at kswheat.com.
The Red Hot Summer Sales event is going on now at Dick Edwards in Manhattan, and you have never seen a selection of America's best lineup like this before. We've got year-end sales pricing right now in July on Ford, Lincoln, and Mazda. You won't want to miss 0% interest on select models, top dollar for your trade, and if we don't have what you're looking for, we'll get it. The Red Hot Summer Sales event is going on now at Dick Edwards in Manhattan, 2 miles east of the Town Center Mall on Highway 24.
American innovation is being driven in places you might not expect by people like Brent Hayek, an Oklahoma family farmer, who recently set a world land speed record in a Ford Super Duty pickup truck powered by renewable B20 biodiesel. Advanced performance is here, now, putting America on the fast track to more jobs and energy independence. Biodiesel, America's advanced biofuel.
At Ag Risk Solutions, we have been helping our clients make better crop insurance decisions since 1981. We always focus on helping you find the best coverage options for your farm, and it will give you peace of mind knowing you have a partner you can trust. To learn more about our agency, please visit our website, like us on Facebook, or follow us on Twitter. Ag Risk Solutions. Experience, knowledge, integrity. Your crop insurance solution.
Ag Risk Solutions is an equal opportunity provider.
Your summer starts at Dick Edwards Auto Plaza. Hit the beach, hit the mountains, hit the trails in the all-new Jeep Wrangler. Jeeps are made for fun, and that's just what you'll have when you slip behind the wheel. Turn the key and start your adventure. Isn't it time you hit the open road? Drop the top. It's time for smiles from coast to coast in America's legendary pony car, the Ford Mustang. Experience the power, the excitement, and the thrills that only a Mustang can bring. Get out and enjoy summer the way it was meant to be. Dick Edwards Auto Plaza, I-70 and Highway 77 in Junction City.
Here at Blue River Traders, we have the greatest selection of rustic and western furniture in Kansas.
At Blue River Traders, you can select from an inventory of rustic lodge or western furnishings. With a designer on hand, Blue River Traders will help create the look you desire.
Thanks for staying with us this morning. We're at Mocan Chemical and Seed Company in Missouri, and we're talking to Caleb, and you're with BASF, weed specialist.
Yes, sir. I'm an agronomist for BASF for the western half of Missouri.
Very wet spring, cool weather, wet spring makes managing weeds tough, I would imagine.
It has had some challenges, but it's also worked to our favor. The moisture has helped keep our residual chemicals activated, which has helped us prevent the water hemp and some of the other tough weeds that we fight. On the other hand, we've had in some cases too much water that has caused some other problems and leached some of those products out a little too much. So generally, if we have a good two-pass program for our customers, when we've been able to really manage those weeds throughout this season.
Corn is taking off phenomenally.
Yes.
Soybeans are catching up. We got a little bit of heat after quite a bit of rain. They're taking off also. Some of the things we need to be worried about.
I've been walking a lot of fields all over the western half of Missouri, and we're in the reproductive stage of growth in our corn and our soybeans now. Things couldn't look much better in most situations, so our yield potential is really high. I would recommend that our customers walk their fields to identify other pests that can bother us during the reproductive phases, which are typically insect pests and disease pests.
Is there anything that we need to be worried about dealing with our canopies? I mean, we grew really quick, still got a little moisture on the ground.
We do. The canopy is actually working to our favor to prevent more weeds from coming up, but it's also holding a lot of moisture, which is a very positive thing. The challenge with good growing conditions and high yield potential, typically that's a canopy that's good for developing diseases, I guess, if you will, or bad for developing diseases in this case. And we really got to keep an eye on that lower canopy because that's where they start most of the diseases, and then they move their way up through the canopy.
Any issues we're dealing with corn?
In corn, we're kind of past the stage where we can do much for that, but we did see gray leaf spot, a lot of common rust across our geography, and in some cases, northern corn leaf blight.
Guys who sprayed their beans kind of burn them down a little bit. Coming back, they may have to spray again. What's our time frame on that?
We need to control those weeds before our soybeans start the R2 reproductive phase, which is basically flowering all the way to the top. After that, when we start applying any chemicals, any crop protection herbicides, we can actually reduce our soybean yields. So we have to balance that. Do we need to control more weeds, or do we want to make sure we protect the maximum yield potential we have in that field with our soybeans?
No, what about, we're standing in a wheat field that's got soybeans in it, so we double cropped. We just have a few seconds left here in our first segment. What should we be thinking about if we're double cropping?
The most important thing is to evaluate where you are with your weeds, and volunteer wheat tends to be a problem. So let's clean these fields up timely and then try to be out of them when they hit that reproductive phase.
So cleaning up timely means go ahead and get a spray down and burn that stuff down.
Spray your weeds by 1 to 2 trifoliate beans if at all possible.
Perfect. We're going to come back with Caleb, and we're going to talk about what we should be doing to get our wheat fields ready as we start thinking about planting winter wheat next year. We'll see you in just a minute.
This segment brought to you by Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. Farmers Insurance, your best protection against the unexpected. Call Agent Dan Key at 785-408-5459. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. grassandgrain.com. Blue River Traders, the finest selection of Western-style furniture for your home. BlueRiverTraders.com.
Thanks for staying with us. Caleb, thank you for staying with us. If we're not double cropping into our wheat field, what should we be thinking about to get ready?
We need to start preparing for next year's wheat crop right now. We just harvested the wheat, so we need to get our seed secured, cleaned, and treated so we can start off to a good start next year. Evaluate how many seeds per pound you have so that we get off to a good start and get the right seeding rate out there. And we absolutely have to start clean and free of weeds. If you're in a no-till situation, I generally recommend that you burn that field down with something like Roundup and 1 to 2 ounces of Sharpen to get those fields cleaned up, and we don't have any weeds that we're fighting from the very beginning of the wheat.
And that was something I didn't ask in our first segment. No-till versus conventional till versus a little bit of till. I mean, managing weeds, they're all going to be different, I would imagine.
They are all different, and each farmer knows what fits their operation the best. I like no-till because we can maintain a lot of the moisture that we don't typically have amply, and so that helps us maintain some moisture, but that's not for every farmer.
Right. So once we identify our seed, we know what we're going to do. We scout the field. Any pre-emergence that we need to be putting down before we put that seed in the ground for wheat.
Each area is a little bit different, and some people fight different pests. We typically have more broadleaf weed pressure in western Missouri and eastern Kansas, but other areas have other grass pressures like ryegrass and things of that nature. So work with your local retailer, get a plan put together ahead of time for what you deal with in your area.
People need to be thinking also about managing how much they're putting down also. Is that a good rule of thumb? Is manage what you put down?
We have to manage the seeding rates that we put out there, because that determines what our yield potential is going to be come next spring. So I recommend that our customers evaluate those seed counts like we talked, get their drill calibrated, and pay attention as they start planting, especially if they switch varieties. Many times they can have much different seed counts per pound.
Caleb, as we're coming into fall, give us a couple things we can take away to get ready for the wheat season.
We need to prepare our fertility plan, and I encourage growers to always prepare and try to prevent aphids in the fall, and we can do that a lot of ways. Primarily, I recommend seed treatments on the wheat that can help prevent aphids in the fall, but if you don't like or don't use seed treatments, you can also make a fall application of an insecticide to prevent aphids as we go into November and December.
And there's so many wheat seed varieties out there nowadays. Picking one and sticking with it seems to be a difficult choice for some farmers.
I encourage folks to evaluate local yield tests that have been done in their area. In many cases, a university has done some, other local seed dealers have done some, and choose the varieties that work best for your geography.
Is there a website people can go to get some information that we talked about today?
they can go to BASF's Ag Products website and find out about any information about BASF products. And I always encourage people to look at some of their local university websites to find some better information too.
Wheat harvest is well underway in Kansas, with more than half of the state harvested. While it's a much different story out west, here in eastern Kansas, the quality and the yields have improved. We spoke with wheat growers in this part of the state to hear how harvest is progressing and check on the quality of the crop.
The wheat looks really good for the most part. We started cutting earlier this week, and we've cut approximately 400 acres so far, and we're just getting started. The quality is very good. Test weights are running in the high 50s to 60. The yields are just a little bit off of last year's, but very good wheat. The only challenge we've really had this year has been a little bit of the weather. We had some frost in May that has given us a little bit of yield drag on some of our wheat. That, and we've had a lot of moisture here in the last few weeks, and high humidity, which has resulted in the wheat drying down slowly.
This wheat that we're cutting right now is going to be in the low to mid 70s. The best we've had was close to 90, and I think the worst that we've had has been in the low 70s. This is a little above average. Now you have to take into consideration that we are raising soft wheat here in the eastern side of the state, different than our counterparts to the west.
Some growers are trying new intensive management strategies for their wheat crop. This involves a few more steps, but it may be worth it for boosting yields.
There are a lot of steps to intensive management, but I can boil it down to 3 key areas: proper seeding in the fall, nitrogen management, and then pest management, weeds, diseases, and insects. We have seen a yield increase with intensive management. In this area, we've typically seen between 20 and 30 bushels more per acre wheat through intensive management versus their normal practices.
And some are reaping the benefits of this type of program.
Probably a little bit more so this year than in the past, but with the later rains, I feel like it has helped us.
Many growers are anxious to finish harvest, not only to maintain quality, but to put in another crop.
Yeah, we want to get this crop off as quick as we can so that we can get a double crop put back in. We'll plant soybeans in this as fast as we can, and with where we're at on the calendar right now, we've got a pretty good opportunity of still raising a pretty good bean crop behind this wheat crop.
Wheat growers in this part of the state have had a good run, but they need a few more days of open weather to wrap up harvest. Reporting from wheat fields in eastern Kansas, I'm Janelle Ost for This Week in Agribusiness.
If you'd like to advertise your business on Kansas Ag Report, give us a call at 785-554-5974. You can find us on the web at kansasagreport.com and make sure to like us on Facebook.
This segment brought to you by Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. A.B. Flint Motor Company, selling quality used cars and trucks in southeast Topeka at 32nd and South Kansas Avenue. Integrity Gun and Pawn, 2 Topeka locations specializing in firearms and training. igpawn.com to learn more. Impact Satellite, your local authorized DirecTV dealer. Impact Satellite at 785-554-5974.
Imagine having someone help you pick the best corn hybrids for every field on your farm. Your Oldie representative can combine your data with his data to offer a field-by-field prescription. Contact Oldie Seed today at 877-692-4555.
Your summer starts at Dick Edwards Auto Plaza. Hit the beach, hit the mountains, hit the trails in the all-new Jeep Wrangler. Jeeps are made for fun, and that's just what you'll have when you slip behind the wheel. Turn the key and start your adventure. Isn't it time you hit the open road? Drop the top. It's time for smiles from coast to coast in America's legendary pony car, the Ford Mustang. Experience the power, the excitement, and the thrills that only a Mustang can bring. Get out and enjoy summer the way it was meant to be. Dick Edwards Auto Plaza, I-70 and Highway 77 in Junction City.
Tammy the Pro Home Plus is all about providing warmth and kindness to aging individuals who find it difficult to live on their own. Tammy's team is made up of experienced caregivers and nurses committed to the highest level of individualized care, focusing on health and well-being, and assisting with nutrition, grooming, medications, therapies, and daily living needs, all in a warm, caring environment. Call Tammy the Pro Home Plus today at 785-383-7094 to learn how we can help.
The producer-funded Kansas Wheat Innovation Center was built to get improved varieties into the hands of farmers faster. Kansas Wheat, farmers advancing their future through wheat genetics research.
The Red Hot Summer Sales event is going on now at Dick Edwards in Manhattan, and you have never seen a selection of America's best lineup like this before. We've got year-end sales pricing right now in July on Ford, Lincoln, and Mazda. You won't want to miss 0% interest on select models, top dollar for your trade, and if we don't have what you're looking for, we'll get it. The Red Hot Summer Sales event is going on now at Dick Edwards in Manhattan, 2 miles east of the Town Center Mall on Highway 24.
This hog is head over hoof for meal made from U.S. soybeans. Now, one hog isn't that impressive, but suppose we add another, and another, and another. Before long, you've got billions of hungry customers around the world all clamoring for the same thing. Our soybeans. Learn more about the billion-dollar appetite of animal agriculture at BeyondTheElevator.com. Brought to you by America's soybean farmers and their checkoff.
Since 1983, the Hydrobed has been utilized on cattle operations throughout North America. The Hydrobed equips your 3-quarter or 1-ton truck for hay handling and feeding. Variable speed cable controls or the optional wireless remote enable you to haul, transport, and unroll 2 round bales weighing up to 3,000 pounds each. A mechanical free float automatically compensates for uneven ground and out of round bales, isolating you and the truck from impact of bale unrolling. To find out how the Hydrobed can improve your feeding efficiency, call or visit us on the web at triple-c-inc.com.
A new book reevaluating the role of saturated fat in the diet and highlighting the unintended consequences of a low-fat diet has elevated the national dialogue about what constitutes healthy eating. Veteran investigative journalist Nina Teichholz, author of The Big Fat Surprise: Why Butter, Meat, and Cheese Belong in a Healthy Diet, concluded nutritional science has gotten it wrong regarding saturated fat and health. The book is gaining widespread national attention. After years of meticulous research, Teichholz presents strong evidence that increasing obesity, diabetes, and heart disease may be the result of eliminating the saturated fat contained in beef, milk, and other animal-based foods. By doing so, Americans inadvertently may be consuming more calories from foods that don't deliver much in terms of nutrients. Lean beef provides 10 essential nutrients and 150 calories in a 3-ounce serving. Earlier this year, a scientific review of 72 studies concluded current evidence does not clearly support cardiovascular guidelines that encourage high consumption of polyunsaturated fatty acids and low consumption of total saturated fats. Beef Checkoff staff contacted Teichholz to gain additional insight on her work. In the process, she was interviewed for a blog post featured on factsaboutbeef.com.
Hello, I'm Chris Haverkamp. You know, the grain complex has been on a collision course to 4-year lows since May on the heels of near ideal planting and growing conditions throughout the Corn Belt. Of course, there are a few trouble spots that may not have record yields, but it is difficult to get bullish any of the grains or oilseeds given the potential for record-setting production. Presently, corn is sitting at 76% good to excellent, with a 20-year average at 64%, and the best year out there in 1987 at 87%. Soybeans are presently at 73% good to excellent, with the average at 60%, and in 1984 we had a top condition rating at 80%. Although we still have a long way to go to get this crop in the bin, the trade is convinced that we will not only see record production, but that our carryout will grow significantly during the crop year as well. Although we find it hard to take the opposite position of the trend to become bullish, there are several things that producers can do to reduce market risk and enhance revenue. You know, over the past few years, even producers who didn't make the best marketing decisions were still able to be profitable. And unfortunately, this may not be the case as we look into the near future. You see, simply learning about other tools and forms of marketing is much different than how you actually use those tools and execute the selling of your crop. Just like a private who has completed basic training doesn't have the same experience as a general. Knowing the definition of revenue insurance, or what a put is, doesn't really help you if you don't have experience to know what tool works best for the job at hand. We believe that the grain markets will remain very turbulent and unforgiving for the next several years, and those producers who haven't sharpened their pencils and their marketing skills may be unfortunately headed for early retirement.
Closed captioning brought to you by Dick Edwards in Manhattan, selling America's #1 truck, the Ford F-150, for over 30 years. DickEdwardsAuto.com.
Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers. kansassoybeans.org.
Ag Risk Solutions. Experience, knowledge, integrity. Your crop insurance solution, Ag Risk Solutions. Dick Edwards Auto Plaza in Junction City, home of this year's Motor Trend Truck of the Year, Ram Truck. DickEdwardsAuto.com.
Well, that's our show for today. I hope you'll join us each week for more news and information about agriculture in the state of Kansas. I'm Brian Holman, and thanks for watching.
Here at Blue River Traders, we have the greatest selection of rustic and western furniture in Kansas.
At Blue River Traders, you can select from an inventory of rustic lodge or western furnishings. With a designer on hand, Blue River Traders will help create the look you desire.
Imagine having someone help you pick the best corn hybrids for every field on your farm. Your Oldie representative can combine your data with his data to offer a field-by-field prescription. Contact Oldie Seed today at 877-692-4555.
Tammy the Pro Home Plus is all about providing warmth and kindness to aging individuals who find it difficult to live on their own. Tammy's team is made up of experienced caregivers and nurses committed to the highest level of individualized care, focusing on health and well-being, and assisting with nutrition, grooming, medications, therapies, and daily living needs, all in a warm, caring environment. Call Tammy the Pro Home Plus today at 785-383-7094 to learn how we can help.